Hello and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, welcome. Today we're going to talk about how our monthly meal planning and grocery shopping went and whether or not we stuck to the budget. So for the month of July, I decided we were going to meal plan for the month and just try to grocery shop just once for the entire month. Now, in case you don't know, we are a family of 5, and I like to say we are a family of 5 hearty eaters because I have a teenager, and then I also have a growing 6-year-old, and then my youngest is also a pretty strong eater, as well as my husband and I. So when I try to get our grocery budget under control, I thought I would try monthly meal planning for a couple different reasons. I wanted to be going out to the grocery store just a little bit less, and I really wanted to get our grocery budget in order. And then I also had some fears and anxieties, things that I was letting be fed into my mind that I didn't like. And so I wanted to face that too. So for more on that, I will link the video that explains more of that. So the big question, for the month of July, did we stick to our grocery budget? Short answer, no. No, we did not. Not by a long shot. We actually went over our grocery budget by $485.07. So our grocery budget was $700. I ended up spending $1,185.07. I keep looking down because I have my notes here. I want to make sure I get everything right for y'all. But this included the 4th of July weekend, so we bought extra snacks and goodies to grill for our family. And then it also included my husband's birthday, which was at the end of the month. And we went and just got some special treats again and things like that for him. We got a special dinner and just celebrated my husband. So I took a look at our budget, and I first was really surprised that we had gone over so much because I didn't realize we had gone into the grocery store so frequently. I did make an exception and say that we were going to do, at the beginning of the month, we did our big grocery hauls, and then my plan was to just go back to the grocery store maybe once or twice more throughout the month. Once for my husband's birthday, and then once for any like fresh produce or eggs or milk, things like that that we may have run out of. We ended up going back to the store multiple times, and that was part of the problem. So each time we went back to the store, I would let myself buy the kids a few more snack items, a few more impulse buys, nothing that was too crazy. My oldest son wanted to do Shark Week with my kids, with my younger 2, and he wanted to make a special Shark Week trail mix snack. So we went and we bought purchases for that. Well, while we were there, I ended up purchasing fresh flowers for the home, and then. And so that grocery trip turned out to be much larger than we expected. I also headed back into Costco for a second time, and I had only wanted to go in once for the month. The second trip did me in again. Costco is just, I am a big sucker for it. I cannot go in, or I find it very difficult to go in and stick to the list. There's always something else that I want to see, or something else that I want to purchase, I should say. So that's, again, we went into Costco because we like to buy our milk and our eggs there, as well as our coffee. So we had run out of coffee, and I didn't realize we were that low or that we would run out this month. So we ran out of coffee, and I had to purchase coffee as well as eggs. While we were there, I also purchased things like chips, pre-mixed protein drinks that were not on the list, and dino nuggets for the kids because we had just run out, and I just wanted a really simple lunchtime option. And then I also bought my husband some razors and things that, little household things that I didn't really have on the list. Another thing that kind of sent us over budget was an online Costco order. So like I said, we had run out of coffee. I purchased coffee at our Costco, but it was not one that we really enjoyed. Now we're going to go ahead and finish it because we bought it, but we really enjoy the organic, just Kirkland brand coffee, and our Costco does not carry it, nor does any Costco in our area. So we went ahead and we purchased it online, and since we were making that purchase, we bought 3 bags at once just to make the online purchase kind of worth it. So that was another extra amount that I hadn't counted for. So these are all things that didn't work and kind of added up for it, but I'm glad that I sat down and I did this so that I could figure out what didn't work, as well as look at what did work. So let's talk about that now. What did work for the month of July? What did work was monthly meal planning. I sat down one day and I wrote out the entire month on my planner here, and I wrote breakfast, lunch, and dinner for each day, and I filled in all of our meals for that day, or for that month. I really enjoyed this because I really liked knowing what we were going to eat, and it was one less decision for me to make. Normally I would meal plan every 2 weeks because that was when we would do our shopping, was every 2 weeks, but since I wanted to do it for the month, I meal planned for the month. And at first it did take a little bit more time, but it was so worth it for me because I liked knowing that we had the food on hand and that I had a plan for the month. We did switch some things up, so we didn't necessarily stick to every day what I had planned. We would mix and match and move things around, but all within that month. So for instance, say I had a dinner planned on the 1st for skillet lasagna, and we decided we didn't want to eat that. We really wanted one of the freezer meals I had prepped. I would go ahead and just switch those meals around. So just knowing that what meals I had on hand and that they were prepped and ready to go was great. It was one less decision I had to make, and if you've ever had that decision fatigue, or I'm not sure if those are quite right, I'm not sure if those are the right words, but where you just constantly making small decisions and it adds up and it kind of weighs you down, this was a great way to just do all of it at one time and get it out of the way. The other thing that worked really well was making freezer meals. So I will link that video. I will link it in the cards, and then I'll also link it down below it in the description box for you. But I set out and I made some freezer meals for the entire month of July. Not every dinner was a freezer meal, but a lot of them were. And so I just did that in one afternoon, and I actually got it done in less than 3 hours. And it worked out great because having these prepped meals ready to go was just fantastic for the nights I was tired, or the nights we were out and about, or just when you don't want to have to be over the stove or the oven for dinner. It just worked out really well. So I could throw these freezer meals into the Instant Pot or slow cooker, and dinner was done. Things that I realized needs work. Breakfast. I don't know if it was the summer month and me just relaxing more or wanting to have a slower, quieter morning, but I found that the breakfast, I didn't want to get up and I didn't want to bake as often. I do think now that I'm talking about this out loud, the baking portion is probably because it was so warm for the month of July where we are. I just wasn't feeling it. The other thing too that I kind of ran into was that because we are not in school right now, we're kind of doing a lazier, slower summer school type thing. My kids are waking up at different times. So my youngest wakes up first, and he's up for a good anywhere from like 30 to 45 minutes before my daughter will roll out of bed. And then my daughter is up, and my oldest will get up anywhere between like half hour to, again, 45 minutes after her. So because of these staggering times when my kids were waking up and everybody was wanting breakfast, it was really hard to keep a warm breakfast warm. So that was another thing that I kind of ran into with our breakfast meals. My solution to this is to, one, get my kiddos back on more of a routine. They need to be waking up at least within the same hour of each other because it just gets too far apart. And with us starting school soon, I think that that will become a little bit easier also. The other option I have, or the other thing that I'm thinking of, is doing some freezer meals for breakfast. I will link another video that I have done where I did a freezer meal prep for breakfast meals, and I think I'm going to go back and do a second round. We'll have freezer meals for breakfast, so that way some breakfast mornings are just easier and done. I did plan on doing some batch cooking, so for instance, when I made waffles, I would make twice the amount I would normally make so that I could freeze some and have them ready to go at another date. So more of that and less of this scrounging around over my half cup of coffee trying to get my kids to eat something somewhat healthy. And then another solution to the breakfast thing is to have more options for my kids of breakfast choices they can make and do for themselves. So my oldest can make like scrambled eggs and different kind of egg scrambles where he calls them omelets. Sometimes they turn into scrambles. So he can do those types of things. Teaching my kiddos how to make oatmeal. Now for my two younger ones, that can get a little tricky because of the hot water and things like that. But mom can certainly fill up the hot water, but giving these options during the week, where today is going to be a kind of fend for yourself breakfast, so you decide what you'd like to eat as long as it's one of our simpler options. Oatmeal, eggs, cereal. I think these will be different kinds of options we can make for them, or even having something prepped. I have to brainstorm a little bit more on that and figure out what these options will be. But I think having these options for them may be of assistance to us. So overall, what is my plan for August? Will we do this again, or did I see that it didn't work and we're just not going to? We're not going to quit. We're going to try again. It worked out well enough for me in July where we had some really good points, like I mentioned, the freezer meals and the monthly meal plan. That was well enough for me to try again in August. And now that I have some insight into what didn't work, I'm ready to tweak it and try one more time. Probably more than one more time. We'll see how August goes. But for my plan for August is to sit down and do a monthly meal plan again. And then I'm also going to do a freezer meal prep for August. This may include both dinners and breakfast. The other thing that I'd like to do is keep our budget at $700. That is what my budget is for groceries for our family of 5 for the month. Now, I am going to see what we spend in August and reevaluate at the end of the month and see, is this just too low of an amount for me and my family? I understand everybody has different bank accounts and different incomes and different budgets and different feeding habits and just different everything. So this may not work for everyone. I know that grocery budgets can be a sensitive topic sometimes where people think you can either spend way too much or way too little. It's all kind of personal. One of my favorite sayings in the debt-free community is personal finance is personal. It's what works best for you and your family. So right now, I would like to get us to $700 for the grocery budget, but I am kind of feeling like that may be too low for us, and we may need to move it up a bit. I'm going to aim for that, but we'll see, like I said, at the end of August what it is, and then based on that, I'm going to recalculate and kind of just reevaluate what we have and if we need to bump it up, and if we do, how much so. I also plan to go ahead and do the bulk of the shopping at the beginning of the month again. So we will do our meal plan. Based off that, I will make my shopping list, and then we will do the majority of our bulk shopping. Now, again, towards the end of the month or towards the middle of the month, we may need to get fresher items like eggs and produce again. But my plan for that is to go back to using a cash envelope system. So previously we had used cash envelopes for our grocery and our gas and our laundry. Those were our only variable type spendings. If you want to know more about how we budget and stuff, I do have one video which I will link of my budget binder. But if you want to know more in-depth things, comment down below and let me know, and I'd be more than happy to share that with you. In case you don't know what a cash envelope is, it is just that, an envelope full of cash. So you would get your budget that you would have for, say, groceries. If I was doing it for the entire grocery budget, I would take our $700 and I would put it in the envelope, and then I would only be able to spend what is in that envelope. Now, we're not going to quite do it that way. I'm going to go ahead and do my first bulk grocery shopping. I'm going to subtract the amount that we spend from our $700. If there is anything left over, I'm going to put that into a cash envelope. And when we go to the grocery store, I will either just take a portion out so that we don't take all of it with us, or I may just take all of it with us if I'm not sure what we are going to spend. But this way, the idea is you don't spend beyond what's in the envelope. And so I think that that might help us more, and so I'm going to do that for the remainder of the month. That's it. That's my recap for July and my plan for August. I'd love to know how you plan your grocery budgets. Give me some ideas and pointers if you have any. How do you find ways to stick to your budget? Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more from us, please be sure to hit the subscribe button and then hit the bell notification so you can be notified when a new video drops.